Yeah, just checking on my grass, getting the mail. Is that Alec? What's he got on the...
Hey Mom, look, the boys are back in town.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're asking for peace as we pull transmissions. So, what I have here is a parts truck that I bought for like 500 bucks because it has a front differential, hub to hub. It was a four-wheel drive, 2002, I believe. So I bought it. Bought it because I needed it for the hubs, drivetrain, and for the electronics. So, what we picked up yesterday, as y'all saw in the intro, is a transmission. So let's go look at it. 4L80E out of a 2002 Chevy 2500. Now, these have the same motor, the 6.0, that is in our 3500. So, you might be saying, Alec, why would you trade a manual for an automatic? Well, manuals are great. They're old school. They're fantastic. They're reliable. Ain't nothing like shifting the gears and wah-pah-pahing.
And they're virtually bulletproof.
But when you're riding down the road and you come to a stoplight and you can, like, first gear is just like, I'm going to get you into 2 miles per hour, and then you have to shift. So essentially this truck only has second, fourth, fifth reverse. First is so geared so low that it is incredibly slow. And third gear is
non-existent,
grindy. Good gracious, Tanner. I've been wanting to do this a little bit. I've been kind of on the fence about it until I found this on Marketplace. Love Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, and I was like, you know what? We got the Chevy running good. I enjoy it, but I was like, you know what? We wanted to make this a hauling. We wanted to make this truck a hauler. I wanted to get a trailer, and I wanted to say, hey, boys, you want to load up for the weekend and go to a car show? Yeah, well, load on up. But with our new seats, nice and plush, we're going to be working more on the interior later in videos. Now, y'all are going to watch us either A, lose our ever-living minds in this video with this transmission, or B, go so smooth, you won't believe it's not butter.
I predict his first statement's the accurate one, but we'll find out.
We will. So what y'all see us doing right now is
Tearing everything apart.
pulling the wiring harness on this truck. And the reason we're pulling the wiring harness is because we're going to need it. A manual transmission means you are manually taking them gears and you're manually shifting.
Quick question.
An automatic transmission reads off of the ECU and shifts it into gear and shifts through the gears for you. So this wiring harness is for an automatic transmission, whereas the other one is for a manual. So there's a lot more talky.
I got a question.
What?
Why do all of these trucks all smell the same?
I don't know. I think it's the pleather.
No, it's like a...
Look who it is.
It's like
a... Robert.
It's like a black ice mixed with Axe body spray type smell.
Delicious.
I mean, think about it. Derek's truck smelled the same way.
Yeah, it did.
What is it?
So yeah,
because I just got a whiff of it right here.
The ECU is actually located right here on these trucks, but they go straight into the fuse block, so it's a little hard to just swap out an ECU. So you need the entire wiring harness. And Robert makes an appearance on the channel once again. So We're gonna pull this.
Hey, the
Then we're
glove
gonna-
box fell out.
Working on it. So here we have. Is yours on?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay, beautiful. You know how to work these things better than I do. So you just saw the steering column that we pulled out, Robert's beautiful tail, and Tanner's beautiful tail on the ground. Now what we are looking at is the 2002 2500 HD transmission that we pulled out, which is going to be a NV4500 with a Borg-Warner transmission T-case, which Robert is playing with. So what we're trying to figure out here, this is an electronic T-case and not a mechanical one. The parts wiring harness that we pulled out is for a mechanical T-case. Now, this means the plugs are going to be different on the transmission.
Yeah, we're missing one.
We're missing two.
The plugs are the same. We're just missing one.
Missing two.
Two?
Two of them didn't line up. Two of them don't line up. And
Beautiful.
that's what we're addressing right now. So Robert is looking for somehow, how does the transmission read to the T-case and push it into four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive, neutral, all of that stuff. Tanner's just making sure it spins.
Yep, making sure all the gears spin.
He loves playing with shafts. So he's pushing it into gears, park neutral, park reverse neutral drive, and you can see the plugs right there that don't work out. So what we are trying to figure out is, can I make my own wiring harness to put it on a switch bank and hit four-wheel drive, engage the T-case, that good stuff? Can I just de-pin that wiring, or do I just find another wiring harness that'll work for it and then make it more, maybe a little bit easier to swap?
I think the answer is going to be going standalone. Just make your own, because it's not that hard. It's 4 high, 4 low, and
neutral.
Two-wheel drive.
Yeah.
No neutral.
Oh, yeah, it is.
No neutral on that one.
Mechanical is neutral, but those won't go into neutral.
The anti-theft machine.
What we are trying to figure out is, what's going on? How does this transmission work? And where do we go from there? And I think we have the answer. I think it's a standalone, pretty much wiring for that ECU or for that transmission. Now what Tanner is sticking his finger in is the dowel pin that is a motor that pushes that pin out and pushes the bearing in the T-case into four-wheel drive, high, low, and two-wheel drive. And with that being said, Tanner is mocking me here, saying I don't know anything about trucks, which is true. I just throw parts at it, and hopefully it works.
Yeah, he knows more about these transmissions than I do.
I've played with a few of them in my life. Never a Chevy, but Toyota 4x4s.
As y'all probably know about me, I don't really like automatic transmissions.
He's more of a manual guy. I don't mind a manual guy, but...
You saying you like me?
That's why I invite you over all the time.
Perfect. Cold start! Trying to ride in the heavy Chevy?
Yes, sir.
Oh, this power steering is garbage. Man, can reverse. Oh, I can't see because there's a bunch of tires. Love how low this thing's geared.
So this is where it all went wrong. As you can tell, Alec is talking and Tanner is
I am
not.
working, but nothing's happening.
So we lost our mics after this video. The mics died. This was the very first time we were using them. And it just, it came out really weird. So we're doing a voiceover over it. So we're going to walk you through and commentate what we're looking at, what you're seeing, what we did here. So that's the manual transmission that you're looking at right there. We're trying to figure out how to get it off. Tanner was working on the drive shaft just a moment ago. And in this, we are working on getting everything, all the bolts out of the bell housing and getting all of it pulled apart. And you can see the exhaust we got to pull off. What you're looking at, I don't know what I'm explaining. I can't remember, but those are just brake lines in the way. And we're going back to Tanner having fun with that drive
Yeah,
shaft.
that carrier bearing was. Why are you so close to my face?
I can't remember. The audio, we had great audio. We were laughing all night. We had good jokes.
Wait, what's
but,
up with the lump on my forehead, bro? Oh, it's where you hit me in the face with a bolt.
yes. I don't know if we got that on camera.
I don't think we
I
did.
did drop. Ooh, it was an amusement park ride there. Gracious. Ooh, and back over to it. Yeah, that carrier bearing is destroyed.
And it wasn't tight at all, which was hilarious. I thought I was gonna need a breaker bar on it, but no, I could have undone it by my hands if it wasn't so dirty.
So it was really easy to get the drive shaft off. There's 4 bolts on the pumpkin end and 4 bolts to the transmission end, which were all 8 of them were 12 millimeters. And then Tanner, what were those bolts there?
I think they were 14s or 15s. And Chevy did a really good job with their rear end where the drive shaft bolts to the yoke. Oh God. Basically, they use retention caps instead of 4 bolts going straight into the yoke on the pumpkin, so it makes it a little bit easier.
So what I'm explaining to y'all here holding the light is we had a very large issue. We don't know what happened. We don't know the story behind this truck. Every truck has a different story. And we were looking at this on the transmission end. The braided line for the master cylinder was just like pinned in. And when we trace it all the way up, as you can see, the multiple attempts there on that hole to mount the master cylinder in.
And it shouldn't have any mounting brackets to the firewall. It should just sit right in there.
It doesn't look factory at all.
No, and if you see right here, GM did not use self-tapping screws.
That was like perfect.
It was to mount their master cylinders into the firewall. And also, if you look at which you'll see here in just a minute, well, that's I think that's an ignition control module, but the master cylinder was pressed so tight against it we couldn't even get that plug out right there.
So we had to take the entire panel off.
Yeah, it was
even get it undone.
It was a nightmare. But if you look at which I think it's coming up here in just a second, if you look at the actual bracketry on the master cylinder that they made.
Yep, we're going to it right now. It's terrible.
It's very crudely made and very badly welded, just brackets. It's not good at all. Yeah, and that's not factory by any standard. I've never seen any manual vehicle with something that looks like that.
I've never seen a manual vehicle with plastic clutch pedals as well.
Yeah, that's true. Most of them are vinyl with metal backings.
Yeah, and so it was this truck was definitely tampered with, and we'll definitely get into it a lot more once we pull the transmission out. We found a few more things that kind of made us a little nervous. But
makes
also,
you wonder why third gear wasn't there.
It also makes us very thankful that we are 4-wheel drive. See, the mics are still on us, and they're just dead.
I don't even know what we're talking about here. The same thing we just explained.
Yeah, it was just very odd. We had no idea what we were getting into. That beer was on the mower like all day and all night. Dogs never ate it.
Yeah, it was empty, so
crazy stuff.
Oh, what we got next? I think, dropping the transmission out. So we were trying to pull it out initially, the whole thing at once. And for some reason, we couldn't get it out with the bell housing. And come to find out, which we didn't show this on video, but after we dropped it, right above the starter housing, there was a bolt that was tucked kind of right into this little like valley almost that I couldn't feel and I couldn't see when I was over there taking the bolts out. So that's why you see the transmission is now in 2 pieces. It's separated from the bell housing. And we got a cut. Yeah, we couldn't get the transmission out.
Yeah. I was just looking at my tail. Why was I arched so hard, bro?
Multiple times.
So, as you see, we're just jacking it up with blocks. Do this stuff at your own risk and your own safety.
What does Vice Grip Garage say? I'm an idiot.
Yes.
Do this at your own risk.
We do a lot of stuff that we don't suggest to other people, but we make it work. We lost the lift at Shag's, and this is what we have: a driveway, some blocks, and a lift.
Why is Robert all up in your backside?
I have no idea, but it's funny. This was a painstaking process. We ended up having to jack the truck up. We ended up going to get the top part, which was a T25 holding the shifter in, and then it was a 10 millimeter holding the this
It's like
almost
it's like a
tower.
spacer plate.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? We're just gonna pull this tower piece, and it'll slide out from underneath it because you can't see it on the other side, but the other side was very. Wow, good. Oh, oh!
Y'all didn't see nothing?
It was. Oh, a little zoom in. I hear you, Robert. Thank you, Robert, for doing our cameramanning. He was great for helping us out.
He
10
was
out of 10. It was
definitely
great.
throwing bolts and nuts and ratchets and sockets at us all night.
I mean, it was great though because we haven't had Robert back on the channel in a while. He's built a house. He's getting married. Like we live about an hour apart, and it's awesome to have Robert back and helping us out. And I was like, I texted him like as soon as I found out about the transmission. I was like, hey, you want to wrench on Friday? He said, I'm there. So it was awesome. It was awesome just being able to play and have fun like we used to at Shags. But yeah, going back to it, I mean, that's all we're doing is pulling. Whoa, I'm pulling some tail up. That's what we're doing, baby. Woo.
Ugh, what a nightmare.
Yes, it was.
I think the truck at this point was probably close to 3.5 feet off the ground.
Yes,
and it was up there.
And it's back sitting on the jack stands.
We did go safe though. Alec was smart enough to buy a transmission jack and 6-ton jack stands because this truck is very, very heavy.
Yes, it is. Look at the space on the back of the bed to the tires. That is insane.
We got flex for days.
We do have flex for days.
So this video is a little bit longer. You want to explain to what we found out today before when we tried to bolt the flex plate on?
Oh yeah, so in the next video y'all will see us put the new transmission in and some of the issues that we're foreseeing already with some wiring issues, electronic versus mechanical issues, stuff like that. Flex plate, so if you're going from a manual transmission to an automatic transmission, you need to have a adapter on behind your flex plate to the clutch or crank to the crank.
Why is that on my Facebook?
I don't know, and I don't want to know. So, yep, he's zooming in, and above that silver tower is a spacer. And on the back, you can actually see that plug there is the speed sensor. And I think we went into it a little bit on the other transmission. I ended up reaching back out to the guy that we bought the transmission from, and I asked him, is it electronic, mechanical? There was nothing else on there that showed it was mechanical, and it turns out to be electric. So we're trying to figure out, do we need to go with a different, oh my gracious, Robert, you getting all the goods. You can find my OnlyFans at
oh god, no, that's gonna get us taken out. You're gonna have to edit that out.
Redheaded blue collar toes.
That's right.
That's right. You can find me there. Cheap stuff, good stuff if you like toes and redheads, and blue collar workers. So there you go. You can see the dog walking by, and right on top you can see that spacer. That spacer was like just the only thing holding it on at this point, and I didn't trust the jack and the jack stands. I was like, you know what, we need to be a lot more safe. We need to just go ahead and take this little part off. It's 4 bolts. It'll be better.
And so if you're interested, you got to jack the truck up about 6 feet off the ground to get the transmission out in one piece.
No, I mean, realistically about 3 feet.
That's true. But we did find out on the automatic transmission, and I don't think we got a video of it. We took the wiring harness out of the parts truck, and basically we have, 5 plugs in total?
Yes.
For the transfer case and the transmission. And we only have 4 plugs on the wiring harness, but on the parts truck, it is a manual shifter. So I'm pretty sure that one of those plugs that does not match up is for the electronic transfer case. But we can maybe buy a plate to manually do that, or we might just have to get another wiring harness. Who knows? That's something we got to research and figure out.
Yep, but you'll see it in the next video because this video is a lengthy one, and want to make them within 15, 20 minutes. And the last couple, we've been busting our tail and getting some content out for y'all and just showing y'all what we like to do, especially with Tanner's F-150 and getting it running.
100
F-100,
sir.
getting it running.
I don't buy 150s no more.
Getting that running, that was a huge process. That was like, he did that over 2 days, and that
One
turned
weekend.
into, I mean, 6 or 7 different videos.
It's a lot. I mean, you got fuel system, cooling system,
brake system,
brakes.
There was a lot to
carburetor, a valve adjustment, which I didn't put on camera because I only had to adjust one.
It is in one of the videos though.
Brakes. Oh. I've been doing some work on it. I haven't really taken a lot of videos because a lot of the videos are stuff that are plentiful out there, like repainting the interior. I just got done painting the dash and the doors. I didn't do a video on replacing the floor pan because there's so many videos out there of stuff like that. But we're going to be getting into some more stuff with that. I'm going to be starting the suspension. I'm going to be lowering it, and I've been looking at bags for the back. Alec keeps talking about bags, so I might be deleting the leaf springs and going with bags.
Ever since,
but we'll see.
That 1991 Tacoma I had, I was bound and determined to put it on bags, but I dailied it, and bags aren't a good idea for daily vehicles.
No, but the F-100.
But the F-100 is a weekend cruiser. I think you could get away with bags very easily.
I think so.
So good.
I think so. I just don't know if I want to go that low over the whole truck.
That's true. And as you can see, back to the actual video.
Yeah.
We're just adjusting it, and I think he jacks it up a little bit more. And
well, maybe.
No, you jack it up a little bit more, and it slides right out. Of course, this takes us an extra couple 30 seconds to a minute. And
the freaking cross member bolt that we put back in with the bracket on it gets right in the way.
Yeah.
Go figure. Robert get a little drunk with the camera.
Gracious, Robert.
And the transmission's out.
Yeah. And there it comes.
That's a hefty boy to be as small as it is.
Yeah, it is. And
manual transmissions are notoriously heavy.
Yeah, and it's not even the whole transmission because the bell housing is missing as well.
Yeah, but the bell housing's not very heavy.
I mean, it had a little bit of weight to it. And at this point, Tanner and I are looking at some stickers we found on the top of this. And this is exactly where we figured out this is not
the same factory.
This isn't the factory for I have 4500.
Transmission has no oil.
Yeah. And there's right there you can see the 703906.
That's junkyard markings.
Yep.
Don't know what junkyard, but it's junkyard markings.
So this was just a transmission they threw in there, and you can tell by the braided cable, the quote unquote aftermarket bolt in for the master cylinder. And as you can tell, there's no fluid in there.
There was very, very little fluid. If we didn't lose the audio, you can actually hear me spin the thing around in fifth gear. You can hear a little bit of sloshing, but it never gets to the top of the gears, which is no good.
May have been an issue when I was driving it.
That would explain why the last couple times you drove it, you could not get it into third gear to save your life.
Yeah, that's also another reason we want to tow with this truck, and we want it to be a reliable tow truck. We'd like to get a trailer sometime soon and do all sorts of stuff.
If you can't sell that thing, though, I do want to tear it down.
I
want to see what third gear looks like.
I'd be very interested to tear it down and see what happens. See what we find. I'd be willing to bet that third gear is just something's not right. This was 1:30 in the morning last night. Tanner and I got everything out, and we pulled the clutch and pressure plate and everything. And
couldn't get the flywheel off. I gave up on it.
This is where we found our issues.
Yeah, a few issues. And Alec was thinking, "Oh, this is just from learning to drive manual in this truck," but this is abused clutch.
The guy we got this from, you can see the blue markings.
Yeah, the blue. Well, you can't really see it on the video now that I look at it, but
there's a little bit there.
You can definitely see in person. You can see the bluing around the inside ring of the clutch, and there's very little material left.
And that pressure plate is just abused. You can see heat marks. You can see stress cracks right there. I mean, just the guy we bought this from just abused this truck.
Oh, and not to mention when we pulled the transmission out, you couldn't see it, but the throwout bearing stayed inside the transmission. It was kind of basically like laying in the bottom of the bell housing,
Yeah.
and it didn't. There was nothing left of it to hold it onto the input shaft of the transmission, which was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, there was just so the clutch assembly was just, I mean, cooked from Lord knows how long abuse that this transmission took, and that makes sense why it came out of a junkyard. We have no idea how many miles are on it. We have no idea what condition it. Well, we know what condition it is. Not great. And
did we not get the video of me spinning it around in different gears?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay, good.
That's why we were just. I'm glad that we're doing the 4-wheel drive 4L80 with low miles.
Yeah.
It's and that way, if Taryn wants to borrow it on a weekend, he can just come over to my house. Keys are in it. He can grab it. If Robert wants it, he can grab it. Like it'll be a good shop truck for everybody to just utilize. So here you see Tanner go in. He's grabbing the input shaft in first gear. And
was that first gear?
Full rotations are.
I was doing one rotation on the input shaft every time, or at least 3/4 of rotation.
And it was giving him maybe a quarter turn, half turn there.
Yeah, there's fifth gear.
Yeah. So first gear was just geared so low that it was non-existent.
I would venture to say first gear was about a 6-to-1 ratio, and fifth gear is 1-to-1. It's got to be.
That's the T case that we got, and the new transmission is over there by that fridge or freezer. And
is that first gen?
We're trying to figure out what we need to do wiring wise to get this to work in this truck. And you can see the first gen just peeking out there saying, "Hey, can I please come out and enjoy some sun?" And I'm like, "No."
But that's been another episode of Shag's Shop. We'll see y'all on the next one.